intensity of one of the most unforgettable days in recent football history. I mean, July 5th, this was a match day that literally defied logic. It shattered expectations and delivered two monumental World Cup upsets. If you're a fan of high-stakes drama, incredible athletic feats, and the pure unpredictability of the beautiful game, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's see how the mighty fell and the bold conquered.
Just look at this quote for a second. Haaland has blown away Brazil in what might be a last-ever World Cup match. Just let that sink in. To say a team has blown away Brazil on a World Cup stage, it's almost unthinkable. That sheer disbelief you can hear in the commentary perfectly captures the mood today. It challenges literally everything we know about the traditional footballing hierarchy. How on earth do you orchestrate a shock like this? How do you completely dismantle the ultimate tournament favorites? Let's break it down.
Act 1, the Viking Victory, as Norway smashes their glass ceiling.
Okay, so the tactical back and forth was just furious right from the starting whistle. Norway showed their teeth early, initiating the threat with a brilliant ball played in for Solitz. He makes this fantastic, penetrating run, but up goes the deflating offside flag. Now, you know how it is. In moments like this, momentum can completely swing. But watch what happens literally seconds later. A massive, sharp, heroic reaction save on the other end was absolutely required to keep Norway alive in the game. Their defensive line held firm under immense pressure, perfectly setting the stage for a counterstrike.
And following that incredible save, we basically witnessed a counter-attacking masterclass. First, a perfectly timed substitution injects fresh legs and sets a player completely free down the flank. Then, this breathtaking pass gets lifted beautifully toward Entric Bruun. It completely splits the defense and forces an unbelievable acrobatic save from Brazil's goalkeeper Nian. You could feel the tension building, right? Norway was literally knocking on the door, and suddenly, this usually impenetrable Brazilian defense was looking incredibly vulnerable.
Now, when the decisive moment actually arrived, the contrast was staggering. Look at this breakdown. On one hand, you've got Erling Haaland asserting absolute physical dominance. He gets his shoulder up, perfectly creating the space he needs to receive that lifted pass. But on the flip side, the Brazilian backline completely breaks down, culminating in this genuinely bizarre defensive intervention by Shoulder. It just goes to show you, relentless pressure will eventually force uncharacteristic errors, even from the absolute best in the world.
And boom, there it is, the Viking strikes.
Taking full advantage of the absolute chaos in the box, Haaland steps up and just plunders it home. It was this spectacular, thundering finish that shook the stadium to its core. Flawless execution. He absolutely nailed what commentators immediately described as Norway's greatest day in their footballing history. And for good reason. It wasn't just a goal, it was a massive statement. They literally outmuscled and out-tacticked the tournament favorites. When that final whistle blew, talk about emotional whiplash. You have the highest of highs over here, Haaland roaring into the sky, leading his nation to a totally unprecedented, historic victory. And right next to it, the lowest of lows. The sheer agony of Brazilian despair, with Neymar just rolling the ball away in total frustration. The absolute ecstasy and the crushing agony, all decided by 90 minutes of relentless football. Unbelievable.
All right, let's switch gears to Act 2, the Mexican Dreamland, and the English Blitz on host soil.
So England's strategy in this one was painfully clear from the very first second. Overwhelming, furious speed. Almost immediately, Bukayo Saka finds Harry Kane in stride, and then out of nowhere, Jude Bellingham arrives to just smash the ball into the net. But get this, they didn't even stop to celebrate. Literally on the very next attack, Kane and Bellingham link up beautifully all over again.
2. That is the magic number of this match, scoring 2 massive goals in just 2 minutes. The sheer speed of this double strike completely silenced the roaring home crowd and put England into what the commentary dramatically called a Mexican dreamland. I mean, it was a surgical dismemberment of the host nation's defensive game plan before they even had a second to settle into the match.
But hey, you can never ever count out a host nation playing in front of their own fans, right? The momentum violently shifted back. Alvarado finds a pocket of space and whips this absolutely gorgeous cross into a highly dangerous area. And who else is there to meet it but their top scorer, Julio Quiñones? He strikes it beautifully, burying it in the back of the net. The stadium absolutely erupts. Suddenly, the whole narrative flips and Mexico has life.
The pressure on England at this point was practically suffocating. Riding that massive wave of crowd energy, Mexico pushes forward again. Alvarado delivers another terrifying cross, this time searching for Raúl Jiménez. Now, it looked for all the world like a guaranteed equalizer. But then, England's goalkeeper, Pickford, pulls out an absolute out-of-this-world miraculous save to deny them. It was one of those reflex stops that genuinely defies gravity and single-handedly preserved England's fragile lead in the middle of a fierce Mexican storm.
Now, when you absorb that much pressure, you desperately need your talisman to step up and kill the game. And that's exactly what happens. King Kane strikes again. Capitalizing on a rapid counterattack, he delivers the final, clinical blow for the Three Lions. It was an absolute masterclass in striking efficiency, completely deflating the Mexican comeback and reasserting English dominance on foreign soil.
When the referee finally blew the whistle on this World Cup classic, the reality really set in. We saw a completely devastated Raul Jimenez realizing the dream was over. Like the commentator said, England managed to knock out the co-hosts in their own back garden. I mean, think about the immense mental fortitude it takes to walk into a stadium filled with tens of thousands of screaming opposing fans, weather the storm of a massive comeback, and walk out with a decisive victory. Just incredible.
So, after analyzing the incredible tactical discipline of Norway's Viking Victory and the sheer offensive firepower of the English conquest, we are left looking at a vastly altered tournament landscape. We have witnessed heartbreak, triumph, and the total shattering of the old guard today. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. With the hosts knocked out and the mighty Brazil broken, who on earth is left to challenge these conquering squads? Can anyone stop the momentum they've built today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next breakdown.